Hi, welcome to Activating Magic. This is Darla. I'm so excited to bring you the fabulous Alexander Ford. Hi, Alex.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, y'all, Alexander has been my coach for the last little bit. He is the person who said, "Why don't you talk about retreats?" And then I lost sleep for a good night and then woke up and said, "Okay, I think that's correct for me." So, um, Alexander, welcome. It feels like really special to get to introduce you to my people. I want to really go back to that moment when you said that because, here my company's sourced, as you know, we like tap into our guidance. And you had said to me just really casually, "Why don't you talk about retreats?" And then I won't forget and really appreciated the way you framed it up. Sleep on it. If you absolutely hate it, if it makes you want to throw up, then we'll do something else. And it was great. So, with that introduction, talk to me and tell people a little bit about who you are, how you work, and like why you do what you do.
Sure. I don't know why I am the way I am. Mostly we're finding it out together has been my experience. Um and that's a bit of a joke. I've been making that joke for a while, but one of the beautiful strategies that I've decided works for me in my life has been to be curious about my own nature instead of trying to create an answer out of like who it is that I am. Like,
Mm.
um, we're 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 all unique, and I think that people spend a lot of time confused about how to be in the world or who to be in the world. And I remember watching some family videos that my parents recorded and had converted into DVDs. They gave them to my spouse, Jennifer, so that she could try to dig up my grandmother's cinnamon bun recipe, which for sure exists on these DVDs somewhere. There's like a 2 minute segment that she's watching like hours and hours of home videos to try to find this cinnamon bun recipe. And in the process, I look over her shoulder while she's watching them one day and I see my father filming me on a camcorder. Like I don't know, I might be 3 or 4 or something. And he would ask me a question and then he would immediately go, "Why? Like, why, Alexander?" And I'm seeing him film me. So I'm watching myself respond to his question. Like, what? What do you mean, why? Like, genuinely, this child is like trying to answer, like, I don't know. Like, why? And I think all of us have that to some degree, like this compulsion or this need to like placate an authority and like, give the answer. Like, why are you the way you are? Why is this important to you? Who are you? This and that. And it really creates a frame where life is not built on a foundation of curiosity anymore. It's like we're trying to
Mm.
find the answer instead of unanswered today. And so I'm really doing my best to turn that inside out and be curious about the infinite, um, the infinite potential nature within me. There's more and more of me to discover. Who is to say what is the boundary of, when are we done figuring out who Alexander is? Hopefully never. So, in that regard, I'm an immortal soul living a human experience, trying to have fun and lay on the grass and look at the stars with my friends. But more conventionally, I've spent a lifetime playing with technology and exploring the mysteries of the mind with my mentor, Dr. John DeMartini, for a hot minute, running a vertically integrated marketing services company for coaches and online entrepreneurs. And more recently, running a coaching program for people who want to step into the identity of being the one and the leader that their clients need and the marketer that will help them decide they want to buy and the closer who helps them move through a choice to transform and yeah, just try to make money being a coach.
Love it. I love, one of the things I love about you is that we are all just trying to figure it out, and you're just willing to say that. And I think that's so disarming. It's like most coaches are trying to have an answer that they stand behind, and then they say it over and over, like, this is true.
Yeah.
And, at Sourced, we say sourced energy is alive. It is from that place of curiosity and what's alive today in this moment.
Yeah.
That might not be true always. Like, we get to reinvent and recreate and pivot.
Yeah. Well, I think answers expire mostly.
Mhm.
So it's like attempting to satisfy the demand for an answer is the way to get money for a minute.
Mm.
And it's, it can offer some certainty or some confidence. But it always comes with a ticking clock, There's sandcastles in the sky, so to speak. That webinar funnel you feel pretty sure about is not going to work for everyone, and it's not going to work forever because it all changes. So, you know, it just seems kind of stupid to me to build my life on the foundation of an answer that's definitely going to change. But also there's benefits, drawbacks. Like having an answer makes it easier to buy something now, and basically being the guy that says, um, like, I don't believe in giving you an answer means if you're looking for a savior, you're not going to buy from me. So, like, it's a more stable perspective as far as I'm concerned that, uh,
Yeah.
my role is different than how most people approach it, but
Mm.
it is more honest in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I was having a conversation earlier about funnels and how, like, eventually they die, and how if we just embrace that it's going to die,
Yeah.
then what? And I fight with my engineering brain and my magical self, because my engineering brain wants to figure out the thing that's going to be the thing forever so I can check the box and say, the thing is ready, you
Yeah. Oh,
know?
look, I never have to do this again.
And then my magical self is like, how boring is that? Then what would I do with myself? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, people look for like, as it relates to funnels, I think funnels are a really cool exploration of this idea. Um, like if your if your life isn't quite the way you want it to be, like if you're like feeling like you might be suffering or like life is hard, you've got too much going on, or you've got scarcity of time or scarcity of money, um, or scarcity of like whatever, team or support, um, and you're feeling like you need to escape that,
Mm.
then what people look for is the answer to that problem. And what we're really hoping is that, well, if I could just figure out the funnel, then I'll be saved from this life that I don't want. And the challenge is that the foundation sounds reasonable. Like to most people, that sounds like a reasonable chain of logic, but it's rooted in a foundational story, which is like somehow I can't even be saved. So
Mm.
a funnel's not saving you. Money's not saving you. Like a new father isn't saving you. A new boyfriend's not saving you. Actually, nothing's ever going to come save you. So it's like fundamentally broken idea. But for someone who is in that feeling of needing to be saved, if I were to show up and be like, well, it's safer for you to adopt the identity of marketer because a marketer at any point in time can build a funnel. So,
Mm.
like, if the goal here is to build a funnel, well, then be a marketer so that at any moment you can build a funnel and you can, make money any different way you might want to make. That's that's a better foundation because the market changes, your nature changes, your customer's nature changes, demand changes, all of this stuff is changing. So actually the safest thing to do is to become the person who can build any funnel at any time for any offer to sell to any customer. That's the best possible thing that we could be. If we really wanted to help someone be good at marketing, that's what we would do. We would say become a marketer so that at any point in time you can create a funnel to sell any offer to any customer at any time and make money and depend on yourself to be able to solve the problem called I'd like some money and then make the money. And so that's what I try to help my clients do. But for the person who's like, I'd really rather not be doing this. So if we could just do one more funnel and then I could give up on this and move on, that's not an appealing sales pitch. So, uh,
But we try to do it all the time.
yeah. Well, the industry's built on this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we met in Cabo on a retreat, and I remember two conversations when we first met. One was you asked me about a client, and I shared about a client, and you, within like seconds, broke down everything about the client. And so your brain works faster than anybody I know, I think, which I love. I really appreciate that because I know, you'll get it really quickly if I'm explaining something. The other thing you said was, you know how people hate marketing? And I don't know if you remember this at all. You know how people hate marketing, but they really just want to do their thing, but they don't want to have to go do the thing? Well, like I'm the one that makes sure that just does it for you. That was what you had said, something to that effect. And this was a while back. And I didn't know what all you were going through at that time. But since I've read your emails where you've talked about, you kind of changed everything through the process of that retreat.
Yeah.
So in my world, we call it a sourced experience when it's like the result we're getting is in such contrast to what we want that it forces us to change something. So can you talk a little bit about what your journey has been in the last year of kind of transforming your business model?
Sure. So, I was trying to provide a service that I thought my customer wanted. And I thought they wanted it because they were telling me that's,
Yeah, they probably did want it or think they wanted it.
they mostly were really convinced that they wanted it. And the it for context was my clients would pay me anywhere between several thousand and $20,000 a month to effectively provide them with marketing solutions. I make fun of it a bit in retrospect. They were hiring me to like wheelbarrow money into their backyard, is more or less the desired outcome. The number of times I heard someone say, Alexander, if you could guarantee me a positive return on my ad spends, of course I'd put all my money in it. I was like, of course you would, genius. That's how math works. But I was, you know, I was humoring the conversation because I wanted money and my customers said they would give me money to do this and I could do it. And I had a team that we became very competent at executing whatever it is that they wanted. And so what that means is like we would write the copy and we would produce the video scripts and we would edit the videos and we would build the websites and develop the funnels and we would configure the automation infrastructure and we would build the Facebook campaigns and more or less we would end to end drive a campaign or build a funnel that theoretically, if it worked and it was the magic funnel in air quotes for people listening on audio, uh, would produce the positive return on ad spend that customer was looking for and create that linear evergreen clients on demand funnel that everyone is, crossing their fingers and hoping actually exists. Um, and I did that for a long time. Like I'm very stubborn and often very stupid. Like for a smart guy, I'm the dumbest smart guy because like it takes me a while to figure things out, especially when I'm so confident that I know what I want. And we would onboard clients and some would stick. My longest client stuck with me for 12 years. But some clients would churn like inside 30 days because they would spend the money and then ghost or they would decide, Alexander, I'm good to be without my cash for 6 months. And then 2 months in, it turns out that would be a lie. I remember I papered an agreement. It was like the most formal agreement I ever made with a big name, like a B-level celebrity, basically in the online marketing space. Some of your viewers will know who this person is. I won't name him. I signed an $800,000 deal with this guy to spend $200,000 a quarter across services and ad spend. And like 70 days into the agreement, he's like, yeah, we're out of money. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I was depending on you producing the money this agreement substantiated to pay the agreement. And I was
Hmm.
like, what? But that became like an example of how all of my clients were actually interacting with me. They would say to me on the phone, Alexander, I'm willing to invest. I understand capital cost. I understand marketing almost never works. I understand that like 1 in 10 funnels works and 1 in 10 customers has a good offer. So that means I'm 1 in 10 times 1 in 10% chance going to win at this. But they were all secretly believing they were the 0.1%.
Mm.
And they all had significantly underestimated how much it would cost, even though I would tell them. And then they would like try stuff, but they would pull punches. Like they would create reasons not to spend enough on a campaign, and they would come up with reasons not to spend Facebook ads. And for a long time, I was like, am I the problem or are they the problem? And I would feel really guilty feeling like they're the problem because, like, as a service provider, everything is kind of supposed to be my fault. Like the customer's always right. And if I'm not getting the results I want, like, so I had all of these stories going on. Meanwhile, like we would have some wins. We built successful funnels. We would drive new leads. We had a bunch of stuff work, mostly, in alignment with what you would expect. Like 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10 funnels would produce profit. And like we would measure a positive return on ad spend using, good attribution tools. And so, I went from I'm not sure if marketing is real to no, marketing's real. Some of our customers are winning to understanding why they won and what it meant to build a congruent funnel with congruent messaging and alignment with congruent offers. So like we developed a real skill around winning at marketing. Um, but there was always this there was a couple underlying problems. One of them I knew during, and I kind of just didn't really want to admit. And another one I've learned in retrospect, which is the first one was um, many of my clients were hoping to avoid being the marketer in that they labeled marketing a bunch of stuff they didn't really want to do. So
Mm.
they would label marketing as looking at their stats, understanding their Facebook ad account, writing copy, posting content they don't want to post. And, because they're visionaries, they've been inculcated or indoctrinated with this story that the right way to be a CEO is to only do what's best or what you're best at and to delegate the rest. But my observation is mostly what they think delegation means is actually abdication. What they're hoping is someone will just look at the stats and come up with answers to make sure that they make money. They don't really want to make decisions around how to meet their customer in the market. And I can think of like very specific cases where it's like I had a customer who was spending $15,000 a month with me be like, Alexander, you figure out what I should say to them. I don't want to figure out what I should say to them. And I
Mm.
remember like tilting my head like, what? Like, aren't you the person who says you want to help these people? Like, why don't you want to help them by talking to them in the market? They're like, no, no, no. I don't even really want to help them once they're in my coaching program. You know what? It would be better if even I didn't even have to coach them. And so there was these moments of cognitive dissonance where I'm like, wait, what are we selling? Right? And
Someone put wheelbarrows of money in my yard and I will do nothing.
yeah, I mean, and that's the fantasy. And I don't actually like we're rounding down. I don't mean to round down, but I think actually I should round down, like mostly. Um uh
Mm.
because it's like nobody's kind of like shaken these people and woken them up and helped them see like the ridiculousness of what's going on, especially if they've been doing it for a while and they've gone through team members, they've got 10 people working for them. They're kind of what ends up happening is we kind of end up wrapped up in this cocoon of our own creation, and we're not really sure what we want and don't want. We're not really sure who should do what and what I should do and if I even want to do it and what does doing it even mean and all this stuff. So then Alexander goes, well, you should probably copyright this email. And they go, why would I do that? I hired someone to do my copywriting. It's just like that makes sense. It's logical. Hire someone to do the copywriting, except the copywriter can't write copy without the spirit of the offer. And the spirit of the offer sort of depends on the coach as the product. And if the coach as the product doesn't want to be inside the copywriting, then we've got a bit of a pickle. And so um, I was resentful of all that. And I watched them and I had to like consciously override my assessment of whether or not I believed in my customer in order to get my customers money. So most of my customers I didn't believe in because I have a sense for them being detached from the thing that we're doing as meaningful. And yet I took their money anyway and I tried to build a business and I had to buy groceries. And so we were in this like toxic codependent relationship that was
Mm.
doomed to fail on the basis of that alone from the
Yeah.
very beginning. So that one I was conscious of, and I just like gaslit myself all along the way. And then in retrospect, uh, I've had a more meaningful insight about this, which is that my agency clients were hiring me to save them. I think it's fair to basically like if in order to build the essence of my mission into my business, I get to be the marketer in that I communicate what's important to me. I meet my customer in their narrative. I genuinely want to interact with them. Like I've got a calling to be intrinsically rewarded by this process. I actually want to be in my course with them. I want to be in the coaching calls with them. I want to be on sales calls with them because I genuinely want to be a coach or whatever. Um, if that doesn't exist, and they're hiring an agency or any service provider, what I've realized in retrospect is actually what they're buying is me saving them. And on one hand, the story, their surface level story is, please save me. I'm delegating this to you. And it seems like they're aware of it. But actually, none of us want to be saved. No one
Mm,
actually wants to be saved. Like, whether we are aware of it or not, each of us has an inner, uh, like a calling towards our own potential. And we don't actually want to be robbed of the opportunity to access our own potential.
yeah.
And so I'm seeing now in retrospect that there was always going to be an agenda for them to undermine the thing they bought, which is being saved by me, because that would imply then that they are in fact being saved when they don't want to be saved. They want to be their own leader. And so that I did not see until like quite a bit later. But looking back, and I'm like, oh, that the business model is totally broken because
Yeah.
they don't want to be saved. They want to be a leader and they want to be led or helped. And my agency business was not set up to help them. It was literally set up to allow and enable their abdication.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the core pillars. When I was in Cabo with you, two of my largest clients paying me $15,000 a month each both pulled their contracts.
Mm,
So I lost $30,000 a month of revenue in like a 48-hour period. And I sort of just like reached my limit, but the limit wasn't like, oh, I'm done with this business, like get me out of here. The limit actually led me to a different truth, which I was not really also conscious of at the time, which is I was propping up this identity and trying to be successful in this business because I thought that if I were to fail in that business or if I were to run out of money or somehow go bankrupt or like whatever, screw up my life, I was perceiving like there would be some danger that my girlfriend would not want to be with me.
mm,
So what happened in Cabo was I reached my limit, and the limit was not giving up on my business. The limit was giving up on the lie or hiding the truth from her. And
mm,
so I chose in Cabo to be honest with her and to basically express what was real for me, which is we have maybe 80 days of cash,
mm.
and there's a good chance we're going to end up moving back in with my parents. And then all of the emotion for me that came with that. And
Yeah.
so what happened there was uh, I got to discover that her choice to be in our relationship wasn't conditional on that outcome. And so in a way, that was a crack in my reality, which was like it made it safe for me to be in contemplation about what I truly wanted. I was keeping myself trapped in a prison that I had to do
Mm,
that because I was afraid that if I didn't, something terrible would happen. And so when I found out that that wouldn't happen, I became open to ask a different set of questions. One of which was, you know, what am I really doing here? Like, what do I actually want? And I had not asked that question in a while.
mm. That's really beautiful. So the sourced experience is losing two clients. And, I know my clients listening will have some relation to some version of that that brought them deeper into their spiritual work, their purpose, when it seems like this is a terrible outcome. And yet it opens up that depth and vulnerability and willing to see who we really are at a deeper level. And I love, relationship stuff is present for me. It's like so intertwined, and we want it to not be. At least I do. It's like I just want to do my thing over here and over here, but it's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's been the journey since? And by the way, I think it's really interesting this 400K or 800K client like showed up in this particular pattern, but then you were able to see, oh, actually, all my clients are in this pattern. I'm just not mad at them as much as I am at this
Well, that was
800K.
something really to be mad about. I
Yeah,
mean, like
I
that
have
was
the
like,
staff for that.
yeah, that was a big deal. I remember talking to my dad about that deal. I was like walking around in a hotel room. I'm like, I just signed this deal and I could like see my dad's gears turning. Like, what? This is not a thing. He's like, who does this? I remember him. He didn't say those things, but like I could like see it in his brain. Like, uh-huh.
He's like, why?
Yeah,
Like
why
on the
you?
video.
What this? It's so funny. Um, but and I wasn't even all that mad about it. Like for better or for worse, like the way my mind works or because I'm autistic, I don't know. Like I should really jump up and down and be furious about it. Whatever. It was fine. I just, it was a detail in a way. Um, but it did point more, it was like really poignant part of the pattern. Um, but yeah, like I remember attending, so shortly after Cabo, I attended a 3-day virtual event and uh I remember being called into a new identity at that 3-day live event. And I had this realization that and I was feeling kind of bitter about these clients that had terminated their contract. So I'm in this 3-day event thinking both about my own experience. I'm being coached into like identity of marketer and being invited to try on these new ideas. And I'm thinking about how I would try on these identities, but then I was like thinking about the one client in particular who departed, who basically was refusing to be in the identity of marketer. And I was seeing this like very clear contrast, like, oh, the reason I was never going to win with this client, the reason the agency services were never going to work was because that client was looking to be saved from the identity of marketer. And nothing I did was ever going to enroll him. And I didn't even want to enroll him. Like I couldn't possibly, it would have been way too much work. And then I had this insight that, like, oh, and also I have never adopted this identity. I have always been the marketer for my clients. And I've never been, or no, I've always been a marketer for my clients. I've never been the marketer in my own life. And it was in that moment that I was like, okay, so what would it look like for me to take on this identity? Like if I were serious about what I want to create in my own life, and part of being serious looks like taking on the identity as the marketer and the one my clients need and their leader, not their savior, which was an important distinction. Um, what would that look like? And that transformed everything for me. It like there's like a whole meta frame and a whole like cascade of like resultant shifts in belief and shifts in perspective and shifts in frame as a result of that change.
Yes.
And my choice, in particular, choice from that moment forward, like I remember standing here at this desk being like, okay, I'm choosing in this moment to be the marketer. When I took on that identity, everything in my life changed. The trajectory of my life changed. The all of my decisions changed. And in many ways, that was a moment where I really became orientated around my own truth. And even though I've always been curious and inquisitive, I was I was still grounding a lot of my decisions outside of my nature. I would ground my decisions in what's right, what's optimal, what's efficient, what would be the best of two evils, what is working, what is not working. All these variations of where you can like orientate a decision I was still doing a lot of that. That was a moment where I was like, oh, interesting. For me to live my best life, the question is, what is my truth about this choice in the moment, and how do I act in alignment with that? And so from that point forward, I basically that was really the nail in the coffin for my agency. And then the rest of my experience was kind of like incremental alignment with my nature over time by decision, choice by choice, stepping into new versions of who I
And
am.
it feels worth talking about that this is not just a mental activity, but you started doing it right away. Like I noticed your messaging change. Like I happened to be, you know, along for this ride. Um, your messaging changed and you started doing new classes and putting out different content. And then you committed to a 3-day event. Like you did all of that
Yeah.
in action while figuring it out.
I woke up the next morning. Not, I mean, it's really the same day. But like I woke up the next morning and it became like an affirmation. It's like affirmation is not the right word. Like an anchor. It became an anchoring frame. Like I woke up in the morning and I asked, like, as the one and as the marketer, what do I want to do today in order to fulfill my life purpose, to activate my potential, to like get in touch with my inner nature, like if I could do anything today, and I can, if I can be anyone I want today and I can, like what does that look like, and what would I do? And I immediately started to make new choices around that idea. So like we launched, I was like, well, I would do what I've been telling my clients to do for the last 5 years that nobody listens to, and I would send an email at least once a week, and that email would be cornerstone valuable content. And so we birthed an email infrastructure that basically has resulted in my opinion, us advertising and delivering an email newsletter that is like top 5% in our industry. Like it
That's
actually
really
has
great.
value in it. Um, and then, we led to, okay, Alexander, if I was going to do, what I want, which is be a coach, which I've been hesitant to admit, how would I launch a coaching offer? Oh, I would do a 3-day live virtual event. These things are out of sequence, but like, okay, well, if that's true, then when is it? What are the dates? You know? So, and then I did it. And so there's a
And
part of this which is like, like I'm the guy who just does it. Like I'm courageous and I'm willing to be honest if even if it causes me pain. But like, yeah, I just started doing it.
you say that with such disdain in your voice.
Well, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, look, Tuesday, it's currently Friday. We're filming this on a Friday. On Tuesday, I did quarterly planning with my team. And we're picking our quarterly rocks. And we're in contemplation of what is truly most important to us. And I'm in inquiry about how that comes out of my nature. Like, what is my truth in this? Not as what is the best priority of Baba according to outside authority. Like, what is my truth? And what came up for me was that we still had one remaining high ticket agency client that has been comfortable because he pays us $15,000 a month, which is $200,000 per year. And I've been earning that revenue for the last more than 10 years. And, I had just given another one of my coaching clients coaching on Friday, which is she's like, I want this $1,000, but I don't want to do the work. I was like, hey, that means you don't want the $1,000. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you need to say no thank you to the money because you're putting faith in the money, not in your nature. You need to align your business with your nature. If you don't want to do the work that comes with the money, you have to say no to the money that comes with the work. And she's like, oh my God. So here I am now at quarterly planning being like, ugh. Like, oh, good, an opportunity to be the leader that my clients need me to be and that I want to be because I'm the one. Look at me go. And like, so I digest this and I'm like, the number one most important thing we can do this quarter is say no to this money. So in less than 24 hours, like we made that decision at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, and by 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday, I'm on a call with my client telling him I'm voiding the invoice that was going to go out now today, which is Friday,
Yeah.
and I want to reconfigure our relationship if possible And if not, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And let's begin to navigate the dissolution of our services agreement because I no longer run an agency. I run a coaching program and I don't want to focus on you anymore. I want to allocate my resources in the direction of my important priorities, of which my truth is you are not. Sorry, not sorry. And so that's painful because that comes with like emotion and like now my whole life is different. And this week it's like I'm waking up like, what are my priorities? I don't know. What does it even mean to be a coaching company? Like I've been an agency for 10 years and before that I ran an IT company. Like, so I'm struggling this week being like, who am I? What is this? Like, how do I decide what to do? What do I fill my calendar with? So that's, I'm begrudging because it's like that's not easy and
It's not.
it
No.
hurts, you know? It's the right thing to do and it still hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't get an award for that, but you know that you're living in integrity and
My girlfriend's proud of me. I do get a reward. Yeah, there's some rewards that like really matter, but no one cares. Like, yeah, I don't get. It's not like that decision puts my name in lights and has people buy my coaching program. In the direct, in the indirect, it
yeah,
absolutely does. But
yeah.
yeah,
So how has the energy of the transformation like worked for you? Because, I'm thinking of when the other thing that stood out when I met you, you have this studio that hosts 3-day events and you hadn't done your own. So here you are.
isn't that funny?
Like, how has it changed things for
Yeah,
you?
I built that studio for Jay Fazette. That's not for me. Yeah, I've had that story for a while. So yeah, like I don't really know how to talk about this in a way that is, I mean, it'll just sound the way it sounds, I guess. Like we did really well. So I ran two beta coaching cohorts. When I decided to step in identity of coach and be the one, I ran two 4-month beta coaching cohorts, and those were good. Like one of them, I mean, I basically accidentally did 6 figures in revenue on the first one. When we did the second one, we did about the same, a little less because I didn't market it as well, and I was still too focused on agency. And a bunch of my clients got discounts that we, like, rolled them forward. So it was less revenue, same quantity. Well, more people, less revenue. So just as successful, just not as much revenue. And then when I shifted into the identity of doing this 3-day live event, because one of my coaches and best friends really pushed on me to be honest and to not like coach without the identity, but like really step into identity of coach and be like, go
Mm.
actually try, like go into the world and great. You've been the marketer, you launched a coaching program, it was medium successful. The agency's still a thing. This is really, it was like, Alexander, stop with the agency stuff. Like you're good at this, go do it. And I was like, oh, fine. So um, in that identity, then I went to spend some time with Alex Moscow, and he, encourages people to run events. And so I'm at the event space, and I'm like, what would my truth be? And my truth was I would run a 3-day live virtual event, and I would, launch an annual coaching offer, and I would, whatever, make as much money as I could possibly make. When I made that decision, I did it from a place of identity. I had no idea actually what it would look like. I made every decision by the seat of my pants. I followed my intuition the entire way. I was really anchored into my truth and my choices, and I assembled a small community of people to offer me feedback and to offer me coaching. And many of them were like, you've enrolled too many voices, you should not be getting so much guidance, you're not going to be able to do this if if you have so many people in your ear. And I was like, I think I can and I will. So I worked out a deal with each of them, which was like, you tell me your advice, I will listen, and in exchange I will make choices and you will deal with it. So on the basis of that agreement, we marketed my 3-day live sales event. I ended up selling 90 tickets. And uh, by all accounts, the 3-day live virtual event was, I don't better than expected. I think probably top 10% of virtual events in our industry in terms of transformation created and attendee experience. I
Mm.
was coached to expect a 10% conversion rate of buying units. We ended up with a 35% conversion rate of buying units.
Nice.
And in launching the new coaching program, we've now done over $500,000 in revenue, which makes me top 1% in the coaching space for um, coaching program revenue,
Mm.
and sales at a live 3-day virtual event. So um, I, I, I figured out how to do it once. Um, and it was super cool and super fun, and I loved it. And we created a bunch of meaningful transformation. And I have no doubt that the coaching program will deliver even better results. I mean, my students in my previous cohorts have all been really affirmative about it. There's been obviously some people that are whatever, they didn't like it, or they left, or it wasn't right for them, and stuff like that. But in general, like, the coaching program's created transformation, and I've had no idea what I'm doing. So version 3, I'm optimistic
Okay,
it'll
that's
be,
not true.
well,
Well, I think I want I want to say for the purposes of the people listening, because I know you're having a hard week and all of that, and like your willingness to walk your talk and be in your truth, I believe is the source of this success. Like there's a lot of people doing 3-day events and offering coaching programs, but your level of presence with what you're actually committed to and showing up to what you're actually committed to, I would say created that result. Like that's phenomenal, 35% conversion.
thank you.
So I feel like we should just celebrate that for a moment.
Hooray. Let's celebrate. Yeah, it's super good. I'm really pleased. I feel really good about it. Yeah. Yeah. There's a part of me that's like, yeah, no shit. Like I'm really honest about my desire to like activate transformation and help people live a life in alignment
Yeah.
with their nature. So, it's dangerous to go into it with a premeditated expectation, in case that expectation's not met. And I really want to walk the line between like humility and hubris. Like the goal of this is not to satiate my ego. It's fun to have an ego, and it's fun to be proud, and it's fun to be like, hooray, I'm the best. Like I got first in the race. Like, but it's not, yes, it's cause for celebration. And for me, it's like my calibration is like, okay, great. Like this is really what I want. I I want to create meaningful transformation. I want people to have fulfilled and meaningful lives, and I want to be handsomely paid for that in the process. So, like, let's check all the boxes. This was a win, and like all other marketing activities, it is also a sandcastle. And so I'm not making it mean that I know what I'm doing, and I'm not making it mean that I can just like press play or rewind and do it again. Like I'm trying to navigate this thin road between like, extracting what we can learn and recognizing our success while simultaneously um remaining on purpose. Like take no credit, take no blame, just stay focused on chief aim. Let's get back to work.
Mm,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so the main question I like to ask on this podcast, which we haven't gotten to, and I'm going to segue from you said every step of the way, you said, what would my truth be? How do you know what your truth is? How do you recognize it? Like, what's your process for answering that question?
Okay. So first of all, I leave space in the pregnant pause in the little tip of the question mark at the end of the sentence. Um, I find that most people perform asking the question.
Mm,
They don't genuinely ask the question with an expectation and intention to receive answer. So first and foremost, I buy the belief that I will get an answer
mm,
or answers.
yeah.
Um, the second is I've bought a story, and I think this is actually foundational to my work. I'm discovering what's foundational to my work, so this is something I'm trying on. It might be different in the future, but I think most people feel like they're unsure if there is like if there is a true nature to them.
Mm,
Like like w- against what do I make a decision? Do I make a decision against what my father says is right? Do I make a decision against what society says is right? do I make a decision against like logic and reason, like it's going to make more money or it's going to give me more time or whatever? Like, what do I make my decisions around? And one of the things that I know absolutely is true that I'm doing my best to enroll others into believing or seeing for themselves is that each of us does, in fact, have a true nature. And we can discover and reveal answers about ourselves that are grounded in like a fundamental truth of that nature. And so, in that regard, it's not at all abstract or random or chaotic or meaningless. It's like actually there's a wisdom within each of us and a voice within each of us that is unique to each of us. And if you ask and you wait and you hear or heed the answer, and then you act in alignment with that answer, you can strengthen and enlouden this voice on the inside. And the way we do that is by asking it a question and then listening for and receiving the answer and then taking the risk of acting in alignment with that answer so that we can collect evidence that acting in alignment with that answer produces a more meaningful and inspired life. So now we've got a closed circuit that goes, I asked for an answer, I got an answer, I acted according to it, and now my life is better. Oh, so now trusting my own answers is the best possible path instead of looking outwards for someone else's answer, which never works. Literally never works unless someone else's answer turns on the light of your own answer. That
Right.
works. That works.
Exactly.
But so I see everybody looking outwards when actually, like, in a non-metaphorical way, I mean literally ask inwardly and then close your eyes and wait.
And so when you're waiting in the pause, so I'm hearing the pause. Well, first, trust that there's an answer. Second, ask. Third, act if you get anything, because that's the only way you test it out and find out.
Yeah.
I
Oh, and
totally agree
patience.
with.
Patience.
Yeah, this pause piece seems like it's important.
It's so important because also you're not entitled to an answer on the time frame that your ego expects. So
Mm,
so what like actually I mean don't just pause for 30 seconds. I mean like you're not it's not like, "Oh, give me the answer right now. I need the answer." Like you can't do that. It might actually be that you ask the question and the pause is like a year.
mm,
Like you brought up my studio. Like, Alexander, why did you build the studio? Well, it took me 4 or 5 years of having this studio to find probably the first or second answer about why it exists in my life and why I've been investing into it and why it's meaningful to me because I just built it into my coaching offer. And so for 4 years, I was like demanding an answer, demanding an answer. Why can't I sell this? Why don't people want to come here? Or how come people don't want to come to Canada? Why won't they buy my stuff? It's like I need to sell the studio, otherwise it serves no purpose. All of this ego stuff. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, well, I could just build it into my coaching offer and have it so my coaching clients can come use this amazing studio I have built. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, look, we just discovered something about my nature. How cool. It came out of me. This is interesting. I can, in fact, be trusted. Sheesh. For a second, I thought maybe I was an idiot. Like, that's impatience. That's impatience. But that form of patience was like half a decade in the
that's so
making,
good.
right?
Such an example.
So,
Well,
and then
and
also,
then like you can get mad, like, why didn't I figure this out sooner? But that doesn't help anything.
that's another form of entitlement. It's another form of expectation, and we're not entitled to answers. We might find them though, and that's fun. Um, and then another thing is like I think we're expecting like revelatory answers all the time. And so
Mm.
another example that I use that's so funny is like when I started asking myself what I wanted, and again, this might be my autism or just how my brain works, I'm not really sure. The first and most often answer that I get when I ask the question, what do I want, is sunshine.
Hmm.
And so there's this list of very simple answers that I think people are like, they're not giving credit to because it sounds so simple. But like, if you just take a minute and ground yourself in them, like, I want sunshine. I want time and spaciousness to be in my body in movement.
Mm.
I'd like to do a vinyasa without rushing.
Mm.
I'd like to experience a certain amount of humidity because I like how my skin feels when I'm in a tropical or humid environment. I want a meaningful connection with my parents while they're still alive. Like, I feel like we can earn the right to more and more complex or revelatory answers. But for those of us who have a story that most of what we have in our life isn't what we want because we've been terrible at making these decisions or asking these questions in the
Mhm.
past. Just like waking up and expecting yourself to be a brilliant genius at knowing what you want after you spend a lifetime filling your life with what you don't want is not a reasonable expectation. So like let's practice being honest with the small things. Like, you know, I want, popcorn. So I have a popcorn machine. Popcorn
I
sparks
saw that in
joy.
your video. Yes.
Yeah, it sparks joy. I love popcorn. So this is, yeah, wisdom with
Mic drop.
Alexander. Yeah. Ask yourself and get an answer. Shocking. But it's funny. It's, with just one more
Well,
thought on this. Like my clients ask me, like, Alexander, what do you think you should do? The number one most important question I ask my clients is, what are the options and which do you want?
mm,
Which, because so many coaches think their job is to give an answer.
yeah,
So the one of the things that makes me more valuable and so valuable for my clients is I redirect towards their nature. Let's check in with you. What do
exactly.
you want? Like your and then I'm patient.
Yeah.
So
Well, we could probably have a whole conversation about the coaching space and how much of it is built on codependence. And the more the client thinks they don't know, the more they'll spend and perpetuating that cycle. Like the people that you talked about who are coming to you to rescue them probably are so disconnected from why they actually got into business because they spent a lot of money on coaches who told them what to do and
mm-hmm.
disempowered their knowing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And again, a great irony. That's scarcity in action in a self-fulfilling prophecy. I need to make them dependent on me having answers because if I don't make them dependent on me having answers, they'll come up with reasons to stop paying me. Okay,
Exactly.
but if each of us has an infinite nature, isn't it possible that I could get paid for the rest of my life to be curious about you? You're bottomless. We can be infinitely curious about Darla. There's no limit to Darla's creation.
Yes, please.
So therefore, isn't it possible that a great coach has theoretically infinite lifetime value to the degree that I'm useful in helping you explore, uncover, and express your
Yes,
infinite nature?
absolutely.
So
I love
therefore,
that.
again, this is the safest possible position for me to take is that my brilliance is in helping you unlock your truth, not telling you mine.
Well, and then there's a piece of this is kind of asking the question again in a different way of how you know truth. There is a piece, and I think this is where it gets can get interesting, is we can use me as an example. When you said to me recently that I can't remember exactly the words, but that I have a resistance to sales or selling. And like I've been in business 16 years, I love selling, like I know this about myself. And so it's like it was hard for me to find it. And but yet you could pick it up, right? And this is like a lot of the conversations I have on this podcast are about like how does your magic work to pick this shit up that
Hmm.
that's not visible. So there's a way that you were feeling the way I was communicating that felt like resistance. Like, how does that truth show up for you? Do you feel it in your body? Do you get like a ping of knowing? Do you?
Yeah. Good question. There's like a way that people express their language that imply towards or away from compulsions.
Mm,
And so like language, let me back this up. Um, the mind is a quantum computer of sorts, and it is existing in a state of equilibrium in that every perception has an equal and opposite perception. Like all perceptions, all feelings, all thoughts are entangled with a equal and opposite thought or feeling entanglement. And so anytime the mind has a perception, there's a conscious unconscious bifurcation And that bifurcation creates a vector, which is mathematical, meaning there's energy in the mind moving in a direction which is opposed by an equal and opposite energy that keeps the emotion or energy in motion moving. And this becomes expressed in a number of different ways. One, feelings. Second, thoughts, and therefore communication. And so all communication is effectively vectorized. And so I can see the mathematics of people's minds through their communication and the corresponding
Hmm.
feelings. So when you express something and it has a tone of feeling, the tone and the thought have charged vectors that I can see the hidden, opposite, entangled feeling and thought, which are attached. And then I can see, based on how a person is moving their language and moving their feelings, whether they're compulsively moving towards something or away from something. And generally speaking, those things are either positive or negative things. And anytime we have a compulsion to move towards or away from a positive or negative thing, we're attempting to satiate a desire of some kind. And so I can see desire by the nature of how you express the emotional vectors of your mind. And therefore, I can point at the thing that's being unstated
Hmm.
and be curious about it. And then that often leads to truth.
I feel like you just gave a mathematical explanation to magic. Like that, what I'm hearing is recognition magic, and I would have never imagined that answer.
Oh,
I love it. Do you see it, like literally see it as energy threads or like like
yeah, I
cords
mean,
or
um, how do I see it? Like there's like a waveform expressed and like the edges are like pushing or pulling.
hmm,
Um,
that's so cool.
like more like a three-dimensional sort of object that is like lighting up, I guess. Like there's things lighting up in that I can like reach in and like pull on an
Mm,
idea. And
hmm.
often there's like a little jolt of like, what? Wait, yeah. Like it's like I can light up something and then it becomes obvious to the person who I'm speaking to.
Yes,
Um, so yeah, that's the first time I've ever thought this through this way.
that's really cool.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
I feel like someone listening is going to go, "Oh my God, that's how I experience it," and I didn't
Yeah.
even know what I was experiencing.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, glad to be helpful. I'm like that. There's all kinds of rabbit holes inside that conversation, but
What would you like to leave people with? You mentioned your newsletter, so we'll put that in the show notes. Is there anything else you want to direct people to or
yeah, I mean,
parting
like I
advice?
run this event that I run. I intend to run it every 4 months. So, depending on when
Okay.
people are listening to this, at the time of recording, the next one will be in December 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2025. If you're listening to
Great.
this 10 years into the future, I guess perhaps I reserve the right to be different. Maybe you missed your window. Who knows? Um, but like if you're wanting to like immerse yourself in an experience, I'd love to have them come to my event. That would be fun.
Are you
Um,
having people live?
yeah, yeah.
Insider people like me.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we had 10 people in the studio last time. We're working on expanding it so we can fit hopefully maybe 20
Okay.
in person, and then the rest are all virtual. And we'll see. I might do a live in-person event in the future. I'm not prepared to commit to that
I
now.
know you will.
Yeah, yeah. What the form will look like is yet to be decided, but yeah, that's going to be my focus. I'm basically just turning my focus back to that, launching my coaching program, and then I want my next 3-day live event to be even bigger and better than the last one. So yeah, we'd love to
Awesome.
have as many people as we can.
Great. I can't wait. Alexander, thank you so much. Thanks for making time. And I know you have had a big week. Thanks for sharing so vulnerably. And I know people are taking loads of value. So
Yeah,
I
thanks for having me.
appreciate you.
You too.
All right, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode.